Hi, everybody. Good Saturday morning. It's the weekend, and we're here doing a Region Weather Live this morning. I want to get you guys up to speed. We've got obviously a lot of lightning and heavy rain moving through. There's nothing severe with this line that's moving through northwest Indiana right now, but I do want to bring you up to speed because you've got Saturday plans, and like, how long is this going to last, right? I think that's a big question on all of our minds, and so that's why we're going to do this special Region Weather Live here this morning to get you guys up to speed. We're recording this right now. It's about 9:06 a.m. Central Time. And so if you're watching this any later on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook page, that's okay. Just know that the information is going to be a little bit outdated as you're looking at the timestamps and stuff like that. But we've got a pretty good idea of how this afternoon is going to play out as well. Again, hope you guys are enjoying your weekend so far. It just started and it's soaking outside. We've got really heavy rain. We need the rain. We know that. It's been dry, just really not on a Saturday morning, right? Hopefully we can get this out of the way. All right, couple reports coming in, Mary. We appreciate that. She says it's pouring, thunder, lightning in the Cherville area. Jan's with us this morning. Linda, happy Saturday to you. Don from Mayberry's on our YouTube channel. Good morning, Don. George is with us this morning. Mary's with us as well. Stephen, thanks for joining us. Kelly's with us. We've got the whole family here this morning. I hope you guys are doing okay. As always, make sure you support our sponsors if you get a chance. They keep all this stuff for free. We've got a lot of software stuff that we pay for and all that, and they're just great at taking care of us. Earl's Heating and Air Conditioning. We've got publicserviceadjusting.com, Romans Roofing, Halcyon Water Solutions, Minogue.life, Kate Cusack for Ruoff Mortgage, Tiger Plumbing, FBI Buildings, T&T Tree Service, Great Lakes Lighting, and Grieger's over in the Valparaiso area. This is their bonus broadcast for them. We appreciate you supporting them. All right, let's talk about the radar. We're going to talk about where things are right now, and then we'll talk about where we go, and then we'll get you on your way here on this Saturday. I don't want to waste your time, okay? Big complex of storms sinking south. The pattern we're in right now across Indiana and areas of the Midwest, it is a pattern that is very reminiscent of summer. And really what we haven't had this summer, we haven't had this pattern very much where you have this big dome of heat out just towards our west and you get these thunderstorms that kind of arc along it. And this is a boundary, really all this rain is being caused by a collision of air masses. We've got cooler Canadian air that's gushing in like this. And then we've got this heat that's trying to get in like this. Both of it has just kind of collided over Minnesota and Wisconsin. That collision continues to take place here because there is some serious late summer heat just down to our south and the west. They're likely going to have low to mid 90s today, not far off from here. And that's some of the heat we get into in the upcoming days, as we've been alluding to. But in between is that battle zone, and it is right through northwest Indiana this morning. You can see this complex of storms. We're not far off from the end of this thing, but we had the initial round that went through with a lot of lightning, heavy downpours, some gusty winds with this. That initial batch of rain, as we stop the radar right now, is heading through Southern Lake and Southern Porter counties right now. All right, so Newton, Jasper County, you're just starting to get into it now. We've got heavier downpours now getting into the Shelby area, Roselawn, you're next, Fair Oaks. The trip down I-65 is not good right now. Wheatfield, you're in the thick of things right now with heavy rain, getting over towards the Newland area as well. And then up north, here's areas of Lake and Porter counties getting soaked still. We've got kind of the secondary little downpour with some lightning. It's kind of like a thunderstorm embedded within the thunderstorm that's pushing through Maryville right now, Cherville, St. John, Crown Point. You guys are in the thick of things with some heavy rain that's moving back through. And then the heaviest rain south of Valpo right now as you get down towards the Couts area. But we've got another little batch of some downpours and perhaps a little bit of leftover lightning getting into the Lake Station and the Portage areas. So we're not done yet. Chester, you've got some more rain coming your way. And then out towards the east, areas of LaPorte County getting soaked right now. You kind of avoided the heaviest of rain, which is in this location right here, but we've got soaking rain in LaPorte, great, much needed rain in Wanata right now. And we do have another batch out over the lake that is likely going to come in kind of with one final kick. And this one has some organization to it as well. You can see those lightning strikes, those little plus symbols there. This will head into areas of Porter County primarily. We may see this cell clip the Gary area, but we're not done with the real heavy rain in the Chesterton, Portage area out towards Michigan City. We've got more out over the lake. But you see the general consensus to this line is that it's not far off from the end, right? It's pretty well contained. We've got, this pretty well organized complex, which is all kind of its own thing, and then it'll push on off. This will get some heavy rain down in Newton, Jasper, and Stark counties before it's out, obviously. The whole thing is actually starting to shrivel. I don't think we're going to realize that here in Northwest Indiana. It'll start to kind of fade as it gets further down to the south, okay? So that's what we're dealing with here this morning. Again, not done with heavier downpours. We've still got another round of some of the storms on the backside of this back over the lake right now that will push inland, all right? Bear with me for a second. I'm going to switch sources here. And we are going to, let me get rid of this. Okay. And we're going to go to forecast mode. Okay. All right. I'm getting quicker at this. It's a lot of work. Just kidding. It's just a lot of clicks. Okay. And I went away. There we are. All right. So here's the modeling in terms of what happens. I think we've got a good idea with this. Most of the modeling agrees kind of how this is going to behave the rest of the afternoon. But this complex heads by. All right. And then we don't quite quiet down. And that's what I said on our morning post is that this boundary where we've got the air pushing in from the north and then that hot air trying to get in from the south, that boundary, the storm complex is riding along that boundary, and that boundary is not going to move today. And it's going to be, we kind of call that the train tracks in the summertime. It's where, it's where the storms will go if they do develop, and it'll be right over Northwest Indiana. And so as a result, what I expect to happen, if you have Saturday afternoon or evening plans, I'd go ahead and make them. All right, just keep an eye on the radar. We're not going to have anything like what we have right now, but what we will see as that air continues to collide right over that boundary, right over Northwest Indiana, really through the whole state of Indiana, we'll continue to see pop-ups along that, where every now and then you get enough wind colliding that it can't go in the ground, so it goes up and produces a downpour or a thunderstorm. And the models kind of have a handle on that. They just don't have a handle on where that's going to develop, all right? So in terms of the forecast, the way I'm going to do it, I'll show it to you here in a second, at least one of the models. I'll show you two models that I'm looking at. But in terms of the forecast today, we've got the bulk of the rain this morning, and then we can't rule out pop-up downpours or pop-up thunderstorms this afternoon. I do think a lot more areas will be dry this afternoon, though, okay? They'll still be around, though. I want you to know that. We don't lose that pop-up chance really till late this evening into tonight, and it's still there overnight into tomorrow morning. It's just probably like 20-30% coverage at best tonight, whereas we're probably going to be 40% coverage during the day this afternoon. So here's what we're dealing with. So this complex goes by, but then notice how the modeling continues to pop some downpours. This model, the HRRR, has it out east. I've seen some models that have it out west, and so that's why I can't say with confidence where these are going to pop this afternoon. It all depends on where this boundary goes, and then it continues. This is this evening. Notice how we're still getting pop-ups where that air is colliding, all right? But the coverage is much lower. Most of us are drying out this afternoon, right? We just have to keep an eye on it. And this is tonight into tomorrow morning. We finally lose that chance as this dome of heat kind of wins out. And then we're going to start the big warm up. And you can see how we go dry as we go throughout the day tomorrow with rain off towards the west. This is going to be very common this week. There's going to be a lot of rain towards our west, but most days it's going to hold out towards the west as this dome of heat kind of rotates in, okay? In terms of temperatures, last thing I want to cover, take a look at today's highs. Look at the difference here. Let me actually zoom in. This is the boundary we're talking about, where we go from 70s here in the region to maybe this heat makes it back in. These are big questionable numbers this afternoon in our southern counties because this boundary is pushing that heat south. So we've got 70-degree air and it's kind of muggy outside, but just south of that boundary, we're in the 90s. But you see how that boundary is right over us, where we go from the Euro saying 73 in Michigan City to 89 and even 90 and 93 as you get down towards Lafayette area. So big difference north and south where that front ends up settling, all right? And this big dome of heat where we're in the mid-90s in Illinois today, I mean, this is some record-setting heat in portions of the Central Plains and the Missouri Valley. That dome of heat will eventually make its way in. So here's tomorrow. We're not quite there yet. We're still kind of north of the boundary tomorrow, but we're on the line. So we'll get into the 80s tomorrow. But then I've got us getting, closer to 90 here as we go into Monday. And you can see how that heat continues to expand in here. Tuesday, near 90 degrees, cooler near the lake, thank goodness. But I mean, that heat just kind of centers right here. It's a very summertime pattern. It's a bubble of heat where it's actually cooler all around it. All right. So that's kind of what we're getting into here in terms of the forecast. All right. One more time, I'm going to remove our modeling. Let me get rid of that. And then we're going to add our radar again just so we can kind of rest on that and answer your questions here in the forecast. Okay. All right. There we go. That works. All right, so if you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. I hope you found this helpful. So again, bulk of the rain in summary is going to move through right now. I mean, we noticed it. It's pouring outside. We've got thunder and lightning. We're not quite done. There's another storm out over the lake that's going to come in. And then we should start the drying process, exception being we are going to have some additional pops on the back side of this. We're kind of seeing the beginning of that now up in here. See how there's just a couple pop-ups on this trailing line? Give it, 2 hours, 3 hours, and this big complex is going to be like in here. All right, in this area. Wow, I'm really coloring. And then there's going to be like pop-ups. We would have pop-up downpours, maybe in here, but there would be less coverage to them this afternoon, like midday into the afternoon, but we'll still have some on radar. Okay, and then we talk heat over the extended forecast. All right, let's see. We've got Tim. You're absolutely welcome. Tom, I know you've got big plans today. Keep an eye on this radar this afternoon. Jan says nephew's open house, LaPorte at 1. We should be much better by 1, Jan. Again, still some leftover downpours around, but nothing like this. Steve says impressive lightning strikes in St. John. We've had a lot. This is an electric storm. This initial batch here that's heading south right now, that's just getting out of Lake County. This has some good lightning with it. We've got another batch that's moving through St. John right now, and then one more area of lightning. These are our 3 good complexes of storms right now. One more area getting ready to head into Porter County here shortly. Let's see. Sherry says just wind and some sprinkles here at the bridge. More leaves flying than raindrops at the moment. Yeah, we've talked about it this week on Matt's Morning Minute. We talked about the fall foliage earlier this week and how, this drier weather that we've had to kind of end summer around here doesn't bode well for the trees. A lot of the trees could use some good moisture towards the end of summer into early fall. And when it's been so dry like this, a lot of the trees are just like, I'm done. And their leaves shrivel up, they turn brown. You don't get those robust colors and they just kind of drop them. So that's why we are seeing some leaf drop right now because of the drier weather we've had over the last couple of weeks outside of the heavy flooding rain we had. What was that? Almost a month ago now. Let's see. Tim says plenty of lightning, Crown Point. Kelly, Hammond's going to be looking much better. So Hammond is done with the thunderstorm part for now. This one's going to miss you to the north, so you can see Hammond there. You've just got some moderate rain falling, not much longer. I mean, I would say another 15 minutes or so, that rain's really going to back off in the Hammond area. Let's see. Tim says it looks like a chicken. It does kind of look like a chicken. Well, it depends on how you look at it. I think it looks like a piece of shrimp. You've got like the tail here, and I don't know. Yeah, it's always interesting how these things look. Let's see. Jessica says stormy weather, loves it. Makes me want to stay snuggled in bed with the pups. Yeah, we're heading towards that kind of weather, Jessica. But for sure, you're allowed to do that. You have our permission. Nick says daughter has soccer game in Rensselaer at 11:30 today. Expect rain. Oh boy, that's a tough one. The rain should be clearing out then, Nick. It's going to be a really wet field, though, obviously, as this rain's starting to hit you now. The real heavy stuff's moving into Rensselaer, another 15, 20 minutes or so, Nick. But yeah, it's going to be a wet field. I do expect the bulk of this rain, this complex should be out of Rensselaer by 11:30. We'll have to watch, so it doesn't mean we're out of the woods yet. There'll still be some pop-ups behind this, but nothing like this. This is our most organized rain of the day. And I do feel like most areas are going to dry out this afternoon. Erica thinks it looks like a chicken too. Rhonda, you're welcome. Tim says, with the cooler temps so early this season, do you think will indicate a colder, snowier winter? Tim, we were looking, we mentioned that in our Region Weather Live last Sunday night. We still do our live Sunday night at 6. FYI, if you guys want to join, we go over the next 15 days in weather. And in terms of the forecast for this winter, we were looking at several different variables. It's impossible to predict. I mean, we've got 10 days down pretty well in the forecast nowadays with meteorology, but it's impossible to predict what a season's going to do in general, right? It is. We have our best guesses based on all the different trends, whether it be El Nino, La Nina, whatever you're focused on there, all the oscillations, what's going on with the stratosphere up towards the North Pole. There are signs in terms of how it's going to go. But then in seasons, you get patterns like what we're in right now, where you get a big omega block. All right. And that lasts for 2 to 3 weeks where the pattern's just stagnant, where everything's kind of where it is and it gets stuck. And that's the stuff we can't predict. And that happens every season. And so that can throw off a winter forecast, a summer forecast, all that. But we are starting to lean La Nina. I don't know if you've heard, but we are starting to develop some La Nina conditions down in the Pacific. And as a result, that would bring us what we're continuing to think which would be a wetter. We'd have more moisture this winter around. and we were looking at a cold, snowy winter, like a payback winter for what we haven't had last, 5, 6 years. That's kind of what was looking like initially without the La Nina. And now that we're starting to add La Nina conditions, and again, it's not just La Nina and El Nino, but now that we're starting to add that to kind of the forecast, that does bring in the subtropical jet a little bit more, which would bring maybe some not as cold of air and maybe some rain over to heavier snow mixes that we get. But again, that's like a couple systems. Do we get weeks of cold? Of course we do. So all that being said, the winter was looking really snowy and cold, and now I'm not backing off from that a little bit, but it's looking a little less snowier than cold. It doesn't look as crazy bad as some of the indications we were seeing before. So it continues to be in flux, and it all has to do with all the global connections and all that stuff. And one of those is El Nino and La Nina and the temperatures in the Pacific, because it drives systems north and south. So we'll see. That was a 30-minute explanation saying I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, there is some correlation to cooler temps in August and September with how winters go, but it's like 60-40, so I wouldn't bank on it. Linda, yeah, there's humidity coming back with this. Nothing like what we would have in July, but this heat that's coming our way, we'll have dew points that get up into the 60s. We're already seeing that outside now. Dew points are in the 50s and 60s and rising. So nothing like late July where we get 5-degree dew points, but we're going to have some days where dew points are in the 60s, and so we are going to have some mugginess to it for sure. Elijah, no, I know it's not the region, but it's Northwest Indiana, and we cheer for our Notre Dame. In terms of the game, it looks good. There are going to be some pop-ups over towards South Bend, at least some potentials there later on this evening for the game. So overall, there's a chance of rain. I do think most of the game is going to be dry, though. It's going to be kind of muggy over there, too. Yeah, so Cheryl, in terms of she does the Hobart Chamber Wine Walk, starts at 11:30. We look much better by 11:30. Again, still some scattered pop-ups around, but this will be out of here by 11:30. All right. Let's see. And we'll have to keep an eye, because wherever this band, see how this is starting to develop back towards the west a little bit. We would likely have this complex again down here, all right, around 11:30, but there may be some kind of appendage to it, wherever that happens to be, where we have pop-ups kind of settling. And that's, again, where exactly those winds are coming together. So I hope it's not over Hobart. I don't think it will be. Models are indicating east, some are indicating west, so there'll still be some pop-ups around, but again, the bulk of this will be out of here. Nancy, you're welcome. I got your comment. There's Nancy's comment there. I appreciate it. You love the morning minutes. Thank you very much. We put some work into those. Dale says, question, are we past derecho season? Happy we didn't have one this year. Yeah, I totally get it. Dale, in my mind, we are. Yeah, that usually occurs in June, and especially the month of July and early August, when we get patterns like this, but the jet stream's just not involved right now like it would be then. So as a result, yeah, in my mind, we're over derecho season, yeah. And we didn't have one. We didn't have that huge line of storms with the shelf cloud and, the 80, 90 mile per hour winds this summer, thank goodness, for sure. Yeah, the 10 a.m. JV football in Hobart is canceled, says Aaron. That makes sense. Yeah, we're rainy outside. It's still going to be raining in Hobart around then. It would be clearing up after that, but there's that. Jan, LaPorte today, temperature-wise, we're going to be held in the 70s, all right? We've got a boundary. This whole thing's running along a boundary that's right about here right now, where it's just stinking hot, or it will be down here, okay? Hot, and then we have like 70-degree air up here. So this is where we're holding the 70s. This hot air is going to try to advance in today. It may make it into our southern counties, but overall, we should stay in the 70s and kind of a muggy upper 70s for you in Michigan City today, or in LaPorte, I'm sorry. Ann, you're welcome. Tinley Park tonight. Oh, Jason Aldean at Tinley Park. That's always a good show. That's a good venue, too. We've seen some country concerts there. And in terms of the forecast for tonight, I would say go ahead and do it. Obviously, they're soaked right now if she's in the lawn. But overall, this complex will be out, and we'll have much better chance of having dry weather, especially by this evening, with just a few pop-ups around, all right? I can't forecast where those are going to go. The models can't either. It's wherever this boundary decides to set up, and that boundary is going to move back and forth as that heat tries to get in. But we should be dry. Again, if you guys have afternoon or evening plans, I would go ahead and make them. Just keep an eye on the radar. No, we're not completely out of the woods in terms of rain yet. They'll be isolated to scattered activity popping this afternoon, but nothing like this. I'm not expecting a big complex to roll through later on today. Okay. You're welcome, Tim. You're welcome, Cheryl. Yeah. Oh, great nephew's weddings today, says Pearl. Showers are blessings. Yes, they are. Hopefully we get this out of here. That's by 11, so we're going to be starting to clear out by 11. But yeah, these showers are blessings. Blessings. That's it. Maxwell's getting some good video of the bolts. He's got good lightning moving through right now. All right, I think that's about it. Again, hope you found this helpful. Again, in terms of the rain, bulk of it's now scattered to isolated this afternoon. I think more areas are going to be dry this afternoon than wet. And then we talk heat over the next couple of days, okay? You guys have a wonderful Saturday. We're still going to do our Region Weather Live tomorrow night, barring the birth of our 5th child. We are on baby watch around here. My wife is due any day now. So, if I'm not with you on Sunday, I'll obviously let you know. But we're planning on doing our broadcast tomorrow evening, okay? And what we're going to cover in that is the heat, additional storm chances, and kind of where we go over the next 10 to 15 days. We always cover that on Sunday evening. So appreciate your cup of coffee chat this morning. And again, you can join us for, a glass of wine chat tomorrow evening. I'm not sure what you do. All right. Guys, enjoy your weekend. We'll have updates as needed throughout the day.